though you might start with a plan A, but
Yes.
you should always adapt and you should always keep plan B in mind. And if I look at my failures where I could not crack the interview, was because I was trying to portray something which maybe I'm not. Honesty. When I say honesty, it comes out naturally when you are asking certain questions and can stick to that decision, whether they are going in the right direction, whether there is success or failure. Such a person for me is a right fit. Every person today needs to be agile in terms of adapting. Does the person come across as a consultant or does the person come across as a fluctuative needle? So Ajay, let me clear this air. I don't personally feel that recruitment is difficult. Uh, what as a leader, what I strongly believe is learning has to be empowering. Human resource is placed at a juncture where it is strategically very important. As long as you are good at human interaction, I think human resource has a good career. So eventually, if you want to become a CHR, I'm just giving an example.
Yes. Yes.
Then you have to minimum spend 3 years in every sub function.
Hi viewers, why do so many qualified candidates keep getting rejected without ever knowing why? You are applying to jobs, tailoring your resumes, maybe even crack few interviews, but still don't get through. No feedback, no clarity, just silence. The reality is most job seekers are optimizing for the wrong things. In this episode, you're going to understand what actually goes inside the mind of a hiring leader, how candidates are evaluated, what mistakes instantly disqualify you, and what truly makes someone stand out beyond just skills and experiences. To break this down, I have brought someone who has spent over 2 decades shaping how organizations hire, grow, and retain talent. He has seen hiring decisions from the inside, understands the pattern most candidates miss, and help leaders identify not just capabilities but long term potential and cultural alignment. Let's hear it from Makarand Rangnekar, Head of Talent Management and Learning at CHRO Motor Industries Limited. Makarand sir, welcome to Let's Hear It From.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. Before I jump into the crux of this question, recruitment problems and hiring decisions, I want to know, sir, your personal journey and your key turning points in your HR career.
Hi everyone, my name is Makaranda Rangnekar and I'm from Mumbai but now based out of Pune. My journey in human resource or learning and capability development has been deeply anchored, but it has definitely evolved in and currently working with Sharda Motors and my previous 2 to 3 uh, assignments. It has definitely shifted towards a strategic role, I would say,
Okay,
where
great.
it involves a lot of decision making uh, in terms of what should be the next 2 year plan or the next 5 year plan from a capability building perspective. But I started at a very humble note. I started my journey with Reliance Communication back in 2003-4. The moment I got out of, I completed my graduation. And honestly speaking, at the beginning, I guess like anyone would be even today, even I was not aware where am I heading. But the good part was that while you are working, you get mentors, you get
Right.
experiences, you get shocks, you get failures, and obviously you get success where which kind of helps you to navigate and make your plan very clear in terms of where do you Where do you find value? Where can you contribute? Definitely. Where is what is the point where you are interested, and that's how you can move ahead. So, like I'm sure many of us would agree that though you might start with a plan A, but you should always adapt and you should always keep plan B in mind, because nowadays, not just today, but even when we
Earlier.
started 20 years back, yes, things were the same. Nothing can be a sure shot plan. You have to adapt. You have to keep up the pace with what is currently required and move ahead.
Your hiring philosophy on talent. We want to know more on your philosophy on talent. What truly differentiates high potential candidates from the rest?
See, Ajay, honestly speaking, I always reflect back the mistakes that I've done while I used to, appear for an interview. And if I look at my failures where I could not crack the interview, was because I was trying to portray something which maybe I'm not. So trying to portray something which inflates what I've truly done. And while I'm on the other side, if let's say today, if I'm planning to hire a person, I would look at a person's honesty. When I say honesty, um, you know, it comes out naturally when you are asking certain questions which are deep dive, which which makes the person reflect and think. And that's where you come to know whether first the person is honest about what he or she has written on the
Right.
resume, while versus what is being conversed during the interview. Plus, then the second strategy is to also look at what are the potentials. So, A, yes, this is what you have done, and you're being honest. And second, what is your potential? What do you think? How do you, if I give you a new scenario right now, what is the, what is your thought pattern that you showcase? Whether you are cool, calm, whether whether you think beyond the question, or you're just trying to answer just for the
Mhm.
sake of answering, right? So A is honesty, B is listening, and C definitely what I look at is the accountability, the decision making ability of that particular person. And decision making and accountability, I will not deep dive into it, but what I'm trying to say is whether you own what you're doing, whether you own your actions. That potential is something that I look forward. If I get through, if I feel strongly that this person has a sense of accountability and can take decisions and can stick to their decision, whether they are going in the right direction, whether there is success or failure. Such a person for me is a right fit.
Amazing. Such a clear cut answer. Sir, moving forward, I want to know what do you consistently look for when evaluating candidates beyond their resumes and beyond fancy designations?
Hmm. Um, as I said, I mean, coming again from whatever that our second question, whatever that I've responded, uh, I strongly believe that every person today needs to be agile in terms of adapting. Correct?
Right.
Nothing is a SOP today. Okay?
Mm.
COVID, at least personally, what I feel is COVID has shattered those, tall buildings in terms of, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, whatever it is.
Mm.
This is a 5 year strategy. Like it has not worked for organization, I think it is a replica of an individual personality also, that, you, there are certain core values, no doubt about it. But how quickly are you ready to adapt? How
Mm.
quickly are you ready to change? unlearn and learn. Those are certain things which, for me, has worked and has. I strongly believe that if I have next 10 to 15 years left, these strong values will keep me afloat. A. So this is what I look forward. Second, as I said, you know, the decision making capacity. That yes, I'm learning, but at the same time, whether I stick to my decision or do I fluctuate. So, does the person come across as a consultant or does the person come across as a fluctuative, needle? I would say. I would rather avoid a fluctuative needle because that
Okay.
is something that I would not want. I would rather be wanting a person who is a consultant who first understands what the problem is and then happily tries giving options rather than jumping on, this is the right way to go and move ahead. So, that's what I strongly believe, and that's, I guess, has worked for me so far.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sir, recruitment these days is becoming very difficult, and it's going to become more difficult in the coming days also. Sir, please share us some common challenges you are facing in hiring and talent management today.
So, Ajay, let me clear this air. I don't personally feel that recruitment is difficult.
Okay.
Uh, because if we keep even 50 years back or 25 years back or even today, the format remains the same. You want a person who can get the job done. This is as simple, right? All you need is a smart evaluator. The evaluator himself or herself should know what is the job and how it can be done. The clashes happen when maybe the evaluator themselves don't know, or maybe are fluctuating in terms of, what do they want out of this particular program. That's where the clashes start.
Right.
This is what I
Absolutely.
strongly
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
तो
Yes.
जब आपका जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन अगर इवैल्यूएटर में क्या है, if your job description is not clear, if there are gray areas, it is fine to have 20% gray area. Example, आपका job description, you know, like कैसे कहूँ, 80% फिक्स है, आपको पता है क्या, what will this person do. 20% you're still evaluating, which is futuristic, which is fine. But if it is a flip side, if it is reverse like 2080, then the evaluator himself or herself would start getting confused and would ask questions which no one knows what is the right answer. And that's how the trouble starts. Huh. With all this, new technology, which is ChatGPT, everyone has become smarter. Now you have a tool. 10-15 years back, you were not, if not everyone was trained on what is the best answer, or not best answer, but what are the options available to make sure that your impression is positive. But today, if you know the right source through ChatGPT and all these LLM languages or LLM technology, you can build yourself or you can train yourself
Right.
to use the right frame,
Right.
to use the right words to impress. But eventually, even if you have the best technology in front of you, at the end of the day, the evaluator should be able to cut the clutter. How much of it is coming from ChatGPT, and how much of it is really coming as a belief from that particular person.
Absolutely.
As an evaluator, वो strongly आपको आप कर पाए, तो I think recruitment should not be a challenge.
Yes, you have actually simplified it in a very right way. I quickly move on to the next question, which is my favorite question, and that is on company culture. Sir, how would you describe the company culture at Sharda Motor Industries Limited?
Hmm. In one word, if I say, it is, business oriented.
Yes.
It is, I'll tell you, and I'll also give you a reason behind it. When it comes to Sharda Motors, you'll have to look at the history.
Hmm.
Sharda Motors is a family-run business, and it has grown eventually in the last 40 years. We are a surplus company. We have a cash flow with us. So it has a discipline of how the business is done. So that's the core of the culture. Now that so you can say that's the kernel, the core. Now around it is something which comes with a plan of what is happening today and what should be how should we sailing in the next 3 to 4 years. And for me, whatever that I've seen is Sharda is undergoing transformation. There are multiple things which are now becoming a part of our culture, which is changing the narrative around. So the way we did it, I mean, let's say we are a hardcore product company, right? We manufacture, we are welders. So the way we welded or with the way we manufactured a particular part 5 years back, today we have to relook at the entire configuration, right from raw material to the supply chain and everything. And every other peer company is doing the same thing. So hence, the other part of the culture is transformation. So the best part is this organization gives you that environment to think. Can I can I benefit the organization by looking at something which has not been looked at today? So that's the second cultural inheritance that I see in this organization. So one is business orientation and second is the transformative shift. Now the person who can adapt to both, who can understand both the values, can easily sail through this culture.
Yes. Sir, please share us, what initiatives, do have you prioritized for employee well-being and engagement?
I think one of the examples I would like to give you this answer through an example. I don't know how many, but if I look at just Chakan as a uh, you know area where we all the manufacturing setups are in Pune. Like we have GIDC, or like we have MIDC,
MIDC, right?
like we have automobile hubs in Chennai. If I look at our current location and overall, we are one of the few companies in our peer sector where we have flexible work hours.
Oh, yeah.
So you won't find you won't find such a flexibility in manufacturing sector.
Yes,
But
right, right.
I mean, we always find hybrid working in. It is easy
ITs
to find
nowadays.
it in
Yes.
IT or ITES or banking sector or consulting sector. But when it comes to manufacturing,
No,
we
it's
still go through, we still
the
visualize
set.
it in a
Yes,
traditional way.
procedures. Yes.
Correct. But this is one of the organizations where we have flexibility, A, and flexibility of hours, and also we can work one of the days in a week which is work from home. Now, I haven't done a survey right now, but with what I know is out of 10, there are only 2 to 3 companies in India under manufacturing sector who are still doing that. And we are one of them. So this is one of the, I would rate it as the top employee engagement point. You are being in manufacturing, but you still have the option of flexible working, hybrid working plus, flexi hours. So this is one. And these are practical
Right.
actions. Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is where I strongly believe, you engage employees with practical solutions. One is work-life balance. Second can be your compensation. Compensation wise, again, we, we I won't call it as we have reached where we would want to, but we always try to give the best option or the best value to the person who deserves. So again, in terms of compensation, we are reaching there because we have realized that even in manufacturing now the stakes are high, and if you want sustainable good talent, then you have to also bring or probably find those numbers which can attract good talent,
Right.
sustainable talent. That is, these are two things, two employee engagement initiatives that I strongly believe that that will help Sharda Motors even in the next 5 years to grow. Because
Absolutely.
again, in our expansion plans, we are adding. I mean, last year we added two plants,
Wow.
and this year we are planning minimum one plant to be newly inaugurated. So yes, we need people, and hence employee engagement becomes an important and integral part.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sir, moving forward, let's come to your favorite question on learning and development. Sir, please, enlighten us on the role and importance of learning and development in long-term career growth.
So for me, learning um, is not compulsion, right?
Okay.
Learning can never be compulsion. Uh, what As a leader, what I strongly believe is learning has to be empowering. Okay, so rather than a push, it should be a pull. Rather than me, giving a roadmap to Ajay, that this is what you should complete in the next 12 months. Ajay should be able to build his or her, I mean, this career roadmap for the next um, 1 year. And as a leader, I think my role is to adapt, to make that person learn or make that person adapt and give those empowerments in that particular process. So that's what my role is. Now this is at the base. Second, it is also imperative that while you have your learning management systems in place and while you still keep on virtually communicating with everyone, it is also equally important that connect with leaders, connect with influencers within your organization, and talk about what you're doing and why you're doing as learning. Because this constant contact, constant discussion on learning then reciprocates within the organization in terms of how learning can benefit their career path or their career growth. Eventually, I believe if I'm talking about your benefit, you will listen to me. If I'm not talking about your benefit and only talking about my benefit, you may just uh, pretend to listen to me, but eventually your attention span goes down and you will deflect. So it is important that learning as an organization in any organization should be good listeners, and second, they should talk about what the stakeholders need rather than what you want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the thin line is that whatever we are conversing, it should connect with the business KPIs
Yes.
eventually.
Yes, ultimate is the business goal. Sir, now let's shift the topic to, careers in HR, So how would you put it, what are the key skills required, the mindset and the career pathways for aspiring professionals in human resources field?
I think it is human resources will remain an important source in business management. Uh, come what you talk about, whatever technology that comes in, tourism. Eventually, human resource is placed at a juncture where it is strategically very important for any organization, because eventually you're dealing with people. What is human resource? Human resource is all about dealing with people, right? And when you say dealing with, yeah, I consider human resource, and the other is customer service as a customer experience. There are these functions are human driven, and they will stay human driven. So you should understand the thin line between, and you should understand the structure and the skeleton of human resource.
Right.
If you are aligned with that structure, I think there should not be a challenge for any human resource person who knows what that structure is and how to follow that structure, because it is human led. Compare this with anything else, where the skill is to do with your creativity or to do with your technical skill, like programming or any other. This will keep on changing, and hence you have to adapt to very frequently. But in human resource or customer experience, the core is human interaction. As long as you are good at human interaction, I think human resource has a good career, or can be taken as a good career path, and it has a good future.
So these days, freshers are not considering recruitment, or they are overlooking recruitment as a career option. Is it a right decision? I mean,
I cannot answer on their behalf, but as I said, if everyone starts neglecting one of the corners, eventually it becomes a highly valued space to be in. Right today, if no, I don't want to make it more complicated, but as I said, if you want to have a sustainable career, human resource is one of the options which you can consider. And I'll give you with one of the examples. Like for example, today many people from my organization who are a part of production or who are a part of manufacturing, they come to me and they say that I have a limited scope. If I'm an automobile engineer, this is the space that I can operate. But consider yourself, if you are into the space of human resource, or you are in the space of finance, or which are the support functions, then your scope broadens.
sir, any advice would you like to give to job seekers who are navigating in today's evolving job market?
See, I strongly believe in, आणि हे ॲक्च्युली बोलता बोलताच मला म्हणजे कॉन्व्हर्सेशनमध्ये ते क्लिक झालं की if you look at any graduation degree today, it takes 4 years, correct? For
Right.
example, इंजिनिअरिंग डिग्री करताय तुम्ही, तर 4 वर्ष तुम्हाला द्यावी लागतात. त्यानंतर तुम्हाला परीक्षा द्यावी लागते, आणि यू बिकम अ बॅचलर ऑफ दॅट पर्टिक्युलर
Stream.
stream. You can say you're a bachelor of science, you get a bachelorette degree of mechanical engineering or computer engineering, correct? तुम्ही 4 वर्ष दिलेली. So it does not end there.
Yes.
So let's say today, if you have graduated with a certain certificate, remember that it took you 4 years to get that certificate. Right? Now consider the next 4 years of your career in the similar manner, in a similar fashion. Try to divide the curriculum. The first year, what are you planning to do? Second year, what are you planning to do? Because in this 24 months, you will come to know where now you want to divert. Are you liking what you're doing, or would you want to pivot, or do you want to move to the next, or you want to stay
Stay.
with whatever that you're doing, right? Because this constant thought process will help you to navigate and then focus that the first 2 years went underwent for deciding that where we want to move. In the next 2 years, try to master that particular move so
Right.
that in totality, the 4 years can help you become a subject matter expert of that certain stream. Can be
Absolutely.
anything. I'm not considering any specific specific bucket right now. Again, the next 4 years. Again, ask yourself the same question. Now you're an SME of a particular bucket A. Would you want to switch, or would you want to do a master's of that bucket A? So 4 years plus 4 years, you can become a master subject matter expert,
You're right.
and then the next 4 years will help you to become a PhD of that particular topic if you stick with that bucket. If you divert, if you want to pivot, no doubt, no problem, pivot, but then again start from scratch. Think about, while you're growing, think where this, if you are investing for the next 24 months in this new topic, why you are investing and what will you gain after you graduate, as in you are spending 4 years in that particular field. So, for example, in human resource, there are under human resource function there are 4 to 5 sub functions. Okay,
Right.
so there's a compensation and benefit, there's HR operations, talent management, learning and development, recruitment. So eventually, if you want to become a CHR, I'm just giving an example, then you have to minimum spend 3 years in every sub function. Correct? So that you become a subject matter expert of talent acquisition, subject matter expert of talent management, and then eventually you build your career to become a CHRO. Now this was for HR. Like you also have compartments in other functions like finance, manufacturing, marketing, sales, and then do it in such a way that you stay relevant for the next 4 years or for the next 8 years. So it is always, I mean, if you make a plan today for the next 24 months, that does not mean you have to stick with that plan because things are dynamic today,
Right.
correct? Today, for example, I'll give you a realistic example. If I'm in HR now, after 22 years of my career, I'll most probably stick with HR for the next 15 years, correct? For me, it is now becoming highly riskier to pivot somewhere. But within HR, what can I do which will make me stay relevant for the next 10 years is something to do with, can I become uh, a human resource expert clubbed with AI expertise. So we in HR, everyone is now talking about whether how much of AI should be applied. So in the next 2 years, can I become an expert of telling the organization that how much of it can be applied? Can I create that environment? Can I provide that guardrails, which is all the security, that this is what you want and this is what we don't want. This is where we can keep it private. This is where we can go public from a human resource point of view. So we would require, as in the industry would require such HR experts who can bring HR plus AI together and can guide organizations. So this is a new scope or new space where I think most of the HR are trying to swim, and then they will become a master, right? So I'm giving myself that space for the next 4 years. Can I explore this space so that I can stay relevant in human resource?
That was an
Now, this is a deeper topic, but I'm
Yes,
just
this
giving
is
a
deep.
small answer.
Yes, yes. Deep, and it was also an amazing piece of advice and information. All right, Makran sir, let's switch gears. This is the rapid fire round. Short questions, instinctive answers, no overthinking, just your honest take. My first rapid fire question goes to you right now. Resume or attitude, what matters more?
Both.
Great. One red flag that instantly kills a candidate's chances.
That I am doing it alone.
One green flag that makes you say this person stands out.
A collaborator.
Okay. Culture fit or high performance, what wins?
This is difficult. Culture fit or high performance. I think I'll go with both,
Okay.
but more leaning towards cultural fit.
My God. One skill every job seeker should build in 2026.
Consulting, research acumen. I'm giving you three. One is consulting acumen, research acumen, and third is decision making.
Wow. First 30 seconds of an interview, what do you notice?
The calmness.
Wow. One question candidates should always ask to the interviewers.
Oh, sorry, one question
One
that
question
candidate,
candidates should always ask to the interviewers.
if I join, what are the top three challenges that you would want me to focus on?
Wow. Internal hiring or external hiring, which do you prefer?
And there can't be a preference for HR. You have to keep a balance. You eventually you want good talent, right? So,
Yes. I come to the last rapid fire question of this episode. One piece of advice for freshers entering in today's job market.
one piece of advice. Huh?
Yes.
If the person is new, then have an open mindset.
Amazing.
Have an open mindset, and second is try to explore the sectors, the various sectors. Don't try to stick to one sector today, because eventually this is my personal opinion. तुम्ही समजा एका सेक्टर मध्ये सध्या खेळत राहिला तर eventually it can be a disruptive decision.
Right. Okay, viewers and sir, this was a power-packed conversation, real insights, no fluff, and a much-needed reality check on how hiring actually works. Viewers, if you have found yourself rethinking how you approach your career, you are exactly who this conversation was meant for. And we are just getting started. More such honest, behind-the-scenes conversations with leaders are coming your way. So until next time, keep learning, keep evolving, keep showing up better. Bye for now. Please take care and see you soon in the next episode of Let's Hear It From. Stay connected.